It's the Score North Twin Show.
Baseball.
Trevor Plouffe Tuesday here. Coach Trev from John Boy Media. You may have seen him on the warehouse games on Bally Sports North, just hitting bombs off the wall. I love how they just you guys send it over to the Bally's people, and then they just put commercial breaks in wherever they want.
Yeah,
it could be a dramatic moment, and Plouffe is up to bat, and then boom, you have to wait through a 2-minute commercial, come back.
We had to edit those a lot to get out a lot of the curse words that are on the YouTube version that aren't allowed on Bally. So our guys really had to do a lot of editing, but it's the amount of people I get texting me like, "Hey, I'm at the bar, and what are you wearing? What is this? What's going on?" I'm like, dude,
what's happening?
This was not supposed to be on cable TV, but here we are.
So, okay, the Twins over the weekend in a very pressure-filled series. It was a must-sweep series for the Twins, and they did sweep the White Sox. And then they roll into Chicago, and David Festa just shoves for 5 innings against the Cubs. So as we sit here, and by the way, we got our resident beat podcaster Declan. We got the sports dad Judd. I used to cover the Twins beat 10 years ago. Trevor Plouffe. The Twins have hit their high water mark now, 15 games over 500. And they're as close to the Guardians as they've been since, I think, mid-May, 3.5 games back. Twins vibes are blank right now, Coach Trev.
May 17th was the last time.
Wow.
They were 3.5 games back. You got to be riding high, and I'm sure as we're going to talk about, later on, this is a very, very important week of baseball for the Minnesota Twins, because you got to still take care of business here against Chicago. I think the Twins are a better team than the Cubs are. And then it's the Cleveland 4-gamer, right? Is that 4 games?
Yeah.
4-gamer. And then
doubleheader
Kansas City
on Friday
for 3.
Yeah.
So it is just, this is it, man. And you don't want to look past these 2 games with the Cubs. But I don't want to say this is the division, because they can go ahead and split these 2 games, then we're not really talking about it. But they have a chance to really make this, they could have a lead in the division after this week. That's nuts.
They could have the lead in the American League after this.
They can. Yeah, they're only a couple games outside of the best record in all of base and in the American League. Actually, in all of baseball, they're not too far behind.
So first of all, I think the best way to characterize this week is it's a statement week, because
Sure.
it's statement time. Because they could split the Cleveland series and certainly not be dead. But if they win 3 or 4, and then they win 2 or 3, for instance, against KC, that's impressive. The other thing that you guys just broached that I think has been not talked about so far is, if things go right this week, the Twins could come out of it with a potential first-round bye. And can you hang on to that if that's the case? Because now we're not talking about, oh my God, they got to go play, a 3-game series, or a team which is a very, I think. It's not that you can't win the World Series if you play in that first round, but I think it takes some of the randomness of a playoff, especially baseball, right? 2 or 3. So that's something else in what has been a really impressive bounce back for a team that in early May, I thought, now I think it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, right now Cleveland has the best record in the AL percentage-wise, so they're 3 games back, and yeah, this is for the Twins to not have to go through that wild card, as you said, will be just, awesome to see. And I don't think anybody would have thought that coming into the year, no matter what. Even if you thought they were going to win the AL Central, you probably still thought, hey, they're still going to have to go through the wild card round and see where they end up. But to get that bye would be incredible.
And to your point about the National League too, it's okay, so the Phillies have the best record in the National League. They're 66-46. I feel this is one of the rare years where there's not a team like the Dodgers or somebody that has broken free of the pack. Everyone is 20 games above 500 or less. The Guardians are the exception. So, yeah, to be sitting here, fans are simultaneously mad about the trade deadline, but also within a week you could have the best record in all of baseball. There's a lot going on right now, Dak. Sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good. I think this is the first time since 2014 that no team is on pace to win 100 games as of this point. Wow. And by the way, Dodgers were 109.5 preseason, which is insane. What? Yeah, they had the highest over/under I think since the '99 Yankees. in terms of a preseason over-under, and they are obviously not going to hit that probably. To me, though, it seems, and this kind of happened last year with this squad, around this time too, they started to peak at the right time. And it feels like that's what's happening with this team, where they're starting to peak just at the right time, where the bullpen's getting a lot better and stronger. Justin Topa's about to potentially come back. I know Byron Buxton got banged up against the wall, but he's having his best run at the plate in years, and hopefully staying healthy. Correa's likely going to return in the next week or so. To me, Trev, it just seems like they are peaking at the right time. Yes, Cleveland still is good, and I still envision them being a playoff team regardless, and I have been skeptic if the Twins could catch them, but they have a chance here if they're able to take care of business against the Cubs in Cleveland to be leading the AL Central by the next time we talk in a week.
No, it's great. And I agree with you. They seem to be peaking and not even fully healthy yet, which is awesome. But I think that really the difference would be we're seeing a guy that looks legit in David Festa. Like he's starting to get that confidence. I know he just had this great game against the Cubs, but he showed it before against the Mets as well. He has the stuff to do it. And a lot of times just getting over that hump of, hey, I'm in the big leagues now, and these are big league hitters. Once you start to get that confidence and I think what's good for a young guy like that is understanding that, hey, I got 3 horses in front of me. I got, I don't have to be the guy. So it takes a little bit of pressure off. Then you start to have success. And then you really start wanting to be the guy. So initially you're just kind of, hey, I just want to make sure I fit in enough at the big league level. But then once you have that success, I mean, you start tasting it and you want to be a reason that the Twins, win a playoff series, get to the World Series, all these things. And, with talking to him, like he has a pretty good head on his shoulders. I think having that, I mean, if he is legit, if he continues to do this, having that 4th guy means so much. We talk about paring down your rotation in a playoff, scenario. I'm like, yeah, 3 guys is great, but 4 guys is a lot better, especially when you start to get to these 7-game series that we talked about, I believe, last week. Having that 4th guy that, hey, we can count on this guy to get some strikeouts, which is huge, because there's going to be traffic on the base pass when you start playing these good teams. The ability to strike people out is big. I think he's looking like he could be one of the biggest reasons the Twins go far in the playoffs.
So in his last 3 outings, it was a little bit shaky the first 2 times out. I mean, it was 12 earned runs over 10 innings his first 2 starts. He wasn't really. That's the thing. He hasn't walked. Like his issue at times has been command in the minor leagues, but that hasn't been. I mean, in terms of walking command. But the last 3 outings, 2 starts, and then he came in. They ran an opener out. I think they ran Steven Okert out for a couple guys. And he comes in, and so it's 14 1/3. It's a 1.88 ERA and a 3.17 FIP, which is sort of expected ERA. But hitters are hitting $1.77 off David Festa, and you look at some of the other peripherals like the swings and misses. He's swinging strikes, 13 swinging strikes last night in 5 innings, that's a big number for like a 7 or 8 inning outing, and he did it in 5 innings against the Cubs. So
yeah, he the first couple of outings his off speed was middle. Like his command wasn't there. And it wasn't like, he wasn't throwing balls. He was just throwing too many strikes in the heart of the zone. Those are going to get hit at the big league level. Like that's just the bottom line. So, as soon as he started commanding the zone a little bit better, you started to see, kind of what we're seeing now. And it's been impressive. And I struggle to like really say, hey, we're going to be able to rely on a rookie pitcher, in the playoffs, all these things. But I mean, it does happen. And he does have like the funk too. He's not a 6'1", right-hander. He's 6'6". He's a different look, which I think also gives him an advantage.
Trev, what did you think about the decision last night? And I did not see it addressed by Baldelli to use Duran in the 8th against, I think, 8-9-1 and then 2 because a guy got on base. And then to use Jax after him. The only thing I thought was intriguing about it was 8-9-1. So like if he had brought Duran into face 3, 4, 5, I totally get that. But I thought it was an interesting decision to have him face the bottom of the Cubs order and then to have Jax come out in the 9th.
I I don't know how much you can read into that. And Rocco didn't say anything about it after the game.
Not that I saw on what Bally's.
It's kind of hard not to read into it,
yeah.
actually, right? Like,
Well, it's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was interesting.
I mean, is Jax the closer now?
Well, that's what I was like sort of curious about.
I mean, I think any bridge, and I would like an explanation too, but any bridge that is Duran and Jax for the final six outs is the right bridge, even if one of the guys is more of the flamethrower that goes first before Griffin Jax.
Yeah. But like, is there any, like, among the four of us on this show, is there any question? I think Jax has had the better season.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to argue
Yes.
like that over a 5-year arc, you'd rather have Duran over Jax because of his stuff. But are they just saying, listen, like, yeah, to Dex's point, you guys are going to get the last 6 outs, maybe even the last 7 or 8 outs, and it could be in any given order based on metrics rather than it being slotted. But if they were to say, hey, actually Jax is the best reliever, he's the closer, would anyone besides Duran be offended by that?
No, I mean, yeah, I think Duran wouldn't be happy about it. I also think there's a lot, they run a lot of like analytical decisions there, and maybe it was a swing path decision.
Right.
That's like what
That's what I'm curious.
So if you
They
look at
think
the
about
number 8
stuff
here,
like
swing
that.
pass here, you
Yeah.
feel like Griffin Jax.
I don't know. I guess the only thing I can come up with, but I think to Dex's point, like any Alcala, Jackson and Duran at the end of the game is great. I think that's we're set there. So yeah, I mean, I'm gonna poke around a little bit on that. How about that?
Okay. By the way, vintage Thielbar lately too. Last night
I was about to say that.
probably his best outing of the year last night. Just plowed through 3 hitters.
I was talking to him in Detroit and then again in New York, and you just notice like the off-speed pitches look better. He's locating them better. They look a little bit sharper. He was worried. He said, yeah, I feel good with my off-speed stuff. This is in Detroit I was talking to him. He goes, I feel good with my off-speed stuff. I'm still looking for that ride on my fastball. And I'm like, dude, you just be happy with where you're at right now because it's you've turned the corner, and that's like exactly what I mean. This is exactly what the Twins need. Yeah, you got Richards who can throw the changeup to get lefties out, but if you have a guy like Thielbar who can come back and kind of find his stuff at the exact point of the season where you desperately need him, I mean it's great. I mean he struck out 3 dudes last night. It's probably been I want to say like 4 good outings in a row for him after basically no good outings prior to that. I mean,
It's like a trade if you think about it. I mean,
it's not a trade, but yeah.
I do wonder who's the odd man out though when Topa comes back, because Topa looks ready. Everything from AAA appearances, feel wise, he looks like he's ready. Right now, Okert is on the bereavement list. They called up Josh Winder to take his spot, but Okert probably coming back. But does the Dauber go back to St. Paul? I mean, Cole Sands hasn't allowed a run in like 15 appearances. He's not going anywhere.
No, I think the Dauber.
Probably the Dauber.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's tough.
The Dauber.
What do they have to do to create a spot for Dobb though on the 40-man?
They did. They bounced Josh Staumont, or no? That was for Trevor Richards.
That's for Trevor Richards. They
have to create a
60 day
40-man
60 day
spot.
for
60 to who?
For
Kirilloff,
what's his
right?
name? Kirilloff.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah,
60s.
Okay. So it wasn't okay. Because sometimes that plays into the decision if the guy gets a spot and takes it from somebody. But if it's just a 60-day move, then okay. Yeah, probably him then, I would say.
I just there's so many different names to throw at you here. Let's go to Brooks Lee for a second here. So Brooks Lee defensively, according to Baseball Reference, Trevor, has been and wins above replacement is a counting stat that the more games you play, either if you're a good player, the more you rack up. If you're bad, then it racks up on the downside. He's been the Twins' most valuable defensive player, non-catcher, in like 30 games, playing shortstop, third base, second base. Eye test, as a guy who played Major League Infield, what do you see from Brooks Lee defensively?
He's already slowed the game down, which I think is really the biggest thing you have to do when you get to the big league level. And just everything seems so fast, and a lot of times your actions speed up, and because of that, you make some errant throws. Your footwork kind of goes awry as you're trying to like essentially play catch up with the game. He doesn't seem to ever do that. The footwork is really, really good. I still feel like when I watch Carlos Correa play shortstop that he's like in a better position at all times, and I still, and this is no slight at Brooks Lee, I still think when I watch Carlos Correa play shortstop, I'm like, that's a superior shortstop. But when I see Brooks Lee out there, he looks every bit of a very, very serviceable, if not, good to great infielder. He can play anywhere. Like everything works. He gets enough on his throws when he's got to go down. He turns double plays well. Probably not as good as Carlos, but he slowed the game down. Like there's no rush and no panic ever. And I think that's kind of one of the best things that you could see, especially from a young guy coming up and moving around a little bit, is the fact that he's just been able to kind of do it and not look overwhelmed, like really ever. Like coming in on the ball, side to side. Like he's just the entire time he's been up, he's looked comfortable defensively, and that's even through some offensive struggles, which I think is also important to note. Like if you have a guy that's able to separate those two, I mean, he's a big leaguer, man. Like he'll figure everything out offensively.
He has big league energy.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if there's no way to we have a way to quantify everything in baseball, but like he has big league vibes. His name is Brooks. There's like, even Declan and I ran into him at the Twins Diamond Awards, where everyone shows up in a suit and whatever, and he was just like walking around, talking to everyone, talking to Terry Ryan over here, talking to media. He has a super chill big league vibe about him, even though he's 23 years old.
Yeah, I'm looking right now. He's got 3 outs above average already, and that's another counting stat, and looks great. I'm very curious to see what they do when everyone is back and healthy, and I know we've talked about it a little bit before, but it's going to be, they have a lot of infielders essentially that they got to play.
I think it might be the end of the line for your best friend, Coach Trey.
Oh, I could see that roster wise, but I'm talking like actual starting players, what they're going to do with all those guys,
Can we just like keep Kyle Farmer on the injured list with whatever and just have him like hang out? Like, could he just be like an assistant coach basically, who just kind of hangs out for a couple months?
They might just put him on the 60-day and let him hang out, and
he's the team fun guy.
Could do that. They definitely could do.
The team loves him, right? Like
you could carry him through the playoffs. He could be in the dugout during the playoffs with a hooded sweatshirt, just kind of. Just good vibes, creating some clubhouse fun.
He's already getting a playoff share anyway. He's been there long enough. He's going to get a full share anyway. Let him hang out and be exactly. 100%. Team camaraderie.
So would your best guess be that if and when Correa's back, which should be, I would hope, in a couple of weeks or so, that Correa goes back to short, Royce is clearly going to be left at third, Brooks Lee plays second, and there's some type of Miranda, Santana both play first at times, and I guess Royce and Miranda can DH if they're not in or not on the field.
Yeah, I'm so curious what they do. I think that's the biggest decision, is Brooks or Royce at second base. And I've said that I don't think Brooks or that Royce can really handle second base. It doesn't seem
right.
He seems like a left side of the infield type of guy, and specifically third base. I think Brooks will be able to handle a change faster and better than Royce can. So I'd assume that's what happens. And then it's how do you handle first base and DH? And I guess we can kind of just rotate the entire time. Mm-hmm. But then that leaves like Larnach and Wallner can really never play at the same game either. So it's
too many. It's crazy that they literally have a logjam, and they have the 4th highest scoring offense runs per game in the league too. So it's, there's been some years where the Twins make it a logjam, but they don't have as many high-end players. I mean, they have like high-end hitters in this lineup. Matt Wallner, who's mostly facing right-handed pitching, has an OPS over 1,000 right now, including being
you face a lot of right-handers, right? That's very valuable.
Correct. You face 75% right-handers. Yeah, totally. Yeah. Not a knock on him, but like the fact that he has a 1,000 OPS, including he was so bad the first 2.5 weeks of the year that he had to be sent down immediately. And even with that absorbed into his stats, he has one of the highest OPSs in the league if you were to, make him a qualified hitter. It's ridiculous.
And he's like what data people love. He hits the ball hard. the angles right, everything. Like it's he's gonna play, man. He's gonna play. Like they do really have some decisions. I actually thought that because of that there was a chance that a Larnach got dealt, or probably more likely a Kepler got dealt, because they've been talking about that forever. But I know they value his defense in right field so much.
Yeah.
And, but because it didn't do anything, now it creates a problem, but a good problem to have.
Yeah, for sure. Go ahead, Dex. Yeah.
I was going to say with some of these lefties, too, that continue to make the adjustments. Like, I talked to Rocco Trev about Larnach's approach, just how he has just become a very well-rounded hitter. He has that 10-pitch AB yesterday. I know he had the kerfuffle on the bases, which is inexcusable, but regardless, his approach at the plate, Rocco told me when he does batting practice, he, like, focuses on the first 20 pitches to hit all breaking balls and hit everything the opposite way, so that when he does get a fastball or he does get the inner pitch that he wants that he can pull, it just becomes a lot easier. And I find that approach so interesting, because he was a guy that struggled so much against breaking ball and off-speed stuff. He always crushed fastballs, that now he's kind of like reworked his approach to the point where, like, I don't know if he's going to be Matt Wallner 1,000 OPS, but he's clearly turned himself into a really well-rounded and disciplined hitter, which is, I think, exactly the type of hitter Rocco also really, really wants, not someone that's just swinging out of his shoes all the time.
I love that that drill, if you will, like facing off speed early on. It does so many different things that I think do line up with what we're seeing in Larnach. At the end of my career, I kind of found curveball BP. I wish I would have found it earlier, to be honest with you, because by that time my body wasn't right and I just didn't have great opportunity. But it slows everything down, and it makes you really concise with all your movements. You get up there and you kind of just have to see the ball out of the hand, because you have to make a decision quickly on, is this ball going to stay in the zone? Is it going to, is it starting too low and I don't need to swing at that one? So you start to see the ball deeper, out of a pitcher's hand, instead of a fastball like in BP. You're swinging, where it's going to be. It's not a big deal. Like, you don't have to make decisions necessarily. So I thought it really did that. And I think you do see that with Larnach's approach this year. It just seems really quiet, and he is seeing the ball really well. And then the ability to, take that pitch and drive it the other way. It's just a good bat path. Like, it's like when I saw Royce hit that homer to right field at Target Field, it's like, boom, we're back. Like, that, you just have to have that in you. That path is the correct path. You're still going to pull balls with it, but it's the right path, and it allows you to, catch that ball deep. If you get it a little bit more on front, you're going to pull it. Like, I love that he's doing that. I haven't really seen that. He got to do that in the cage, I'm assuming, before he comes out.
He said cage and BP. He said you should go watch his BP. Rocco said go watch his BP sometime and watch how he goes about that entire thing, which is interesting.
Yeah, they all have their own individual routines in the cage, and there's a lot of different things that that these guys are doing nowadays, which I think are really cool. Some of it can get a little bit too much, but no, it's great.
Jed, what's your pregame routine when you go to Park Tavern in St. Louis Park? What do you like? Do you warm up? Do you stretch before you order a pint? What do you do?
I stretch my arm by taking a delicious beer from their taps and, of course, drinking that. And then I get the menu, so I get two hands on that, and I look and I say, give me one of those delicious burgers. That's the second thing. And then
put the readers on and get real close to that menu.
You got to have the readers on. I'm 54 years old. And then sometimes the pregame is to go to parktavern.net and plan a party, because these people can put on a party. I'm not talking for like 20 friends, just show up. I'm talking for like 100 people, a company party. Cheryl and Phil do a fantastic job. They are going to set you up, and there is no gathering that they will say is too large. Park Tavern, of course, the home of bowling as well. What's not there? It's like an amusement land for adults, so check them out, parktavern.net. It is. It's an amusement land for adults, located off Highway 7 and Louisiana in my neck of the woods. The official sports bar, Sports Dad, is Park Tavern in St. Louis Park.
Hey, and also over on the Score North app, we're giving away a couple things right now this month. So it's the Score North app is free to download. It's a central hub for everything we do, all the podcasts, videos that we create. And we're giving away a 75-inch Roku Pro Series 4K TV that automatically adjusts color and sharpness. It doesn't adjust for bad pitching performances, But it's nearly an $1,800 value. You can register to win that thing on the Score North app, listener rewards. Also, Renaissance Fest tickets, Minnesota Renaissance Festival, starting August 17th through the end of September. On weekends, you can register for a 4-pack of tickets to the Renaissance Festival listener rewards section of the Score North app. Last couple minutes here with Coach Trev. What is the White Sox clubhouse like right now, do you think, dude? 21 straight losses.
You're asking an expert in bad teams.
Well, you
here, so
know what? I mean,
go.
you played on a 99-loss Twins team that got weird. You specifically saved it from going down as a 100-loss team.
I did. The vibes in Chicago right now are just not. It's not good. I mean, you show up to the park every single day. You're playing for nothing. There are over 60 games under 500. It becomes very, very much an individual game at that point. You're just playing to up your arbitration number to solidify maybe a chance next year. Which, by the way, none of these guys are solidifying anything for next year. It's going to be a complete disaster.
Well, they actually are just solidifying they're not going to be on the team is what they're solidifying.
Well, they're going to like. The White Sox spring training next year might be one of the most fascinating things to watch, as there's nobody necessarily with a set position anywhere. It's like I always say there's no real roster or spring training like battles. That's all BS. Like they've already made their decisions because they don't dwell in small sample sizes. At least that's what they tell us all the time. I legitimately think that there's going to be like 20 position battles out of 26 spots. Like there might be a few guys that have a spot locked up. Like Garrett Crochet, if he doesn't get traded in the offseason, he's going to start. Luis Robert, if he doesn't get traded in the offseason, he's going to start. Other than that, like I don't know what they're going to do, man. So it's just not fun at all. You saw there was a clip of Miguel Vargas who got traded from the Dodgers
Poor son of
to the White Sox. I went to Dodger Stadium last night, saw the game, the energy. It's to go from that to what's really regarded as one of, if not the best organizations in baseball, to what's happening in Chicago right now has to be. I mean, you saw the expression on his face. He's miserable there right now, and eventually he'll be okay. But right now, he's going through it.
White Sox players, Coach Trev, are now doing a very football thing. They are making business decisions. Any fly ball that had any questionable, I might crash into the fence, I might collect. I mean, Benintendi has no interest unless it's hit at him now. Like I don't recall seeing guys who basically have said, you know what, screw personal pride. I ain't getting hurt. I'm not going to lift a finger. Benintendi allowed a ball to drop in on Friday, and on Sunday literally took a circuitous path to a ball where I think he purposely took the wrong path.
Yeah.
Honestly, for really thinking about this and you put yourself in their shoes, why would you? What are you really playing for? I get the pride thing. I get that you're strapping them up in the major leagues and all this stuff, but it's so far gone. So like you do still want to perform, especially at the plate. You're like, hey, let me like get some knocks here. But the team aspect of it is gone, dude. Like,
so there's no value in showing, let's say you're 24-year-old and there's no value in being the rah-rah guy, the energy guy, the stretch a single into a double guy.
You can do that, like, right? And I don't want to put it out there like that these guys should just be trying to lose games. And I don't think they are, but you could try to be the rah-rah guy, but if it's not backed up by results, it gets old really, really quickly. And it's like kind of like this catch-22 where it's like, yeah, you need everybody to buy in at this point so they can start winning games, but you're not winning games. And it's very hard to continue that like enthusiasm when it's just day in and day out. The bullpen blowing games, the offense doing nothing. You're talking about defense. It's tough, man. It's honestly, it's a tough watch. I mean, you're thankful the Twins handled their business against them this year. 12-1 obviously puts them, that helped the record out a lot. But I'm actually happy that the games are done with the White Sox.
The post-game show is hilarious. It's just like it's just Ozzie Guillen tearing into the franchise, and it's Frank Thomas just sitting there egging him on. It's brutal.
I'm assuming there's going to be a new manager. I'm assuming a lot of things will change over the offseason. I think both those guys I mentioned, Crochet and Robert, will be traded. And then the crazy thing is now is they like they're not going to get top picks for as bad as they've been. They should be getting the number 1 overall pick, and they're just not going to get that for the foreseeable future, I believe.
Yeah. No, it's brutal, man. Coach Trev.
I do believe, though, with yesterday's White Sox loss, the Twins, over their 162 games against the Yankees, are now officially better than the last 162 against the White Sox. So going into play yesterday, both the Twins in their last 162 games against the Yankees had the same record as the White Sox over their last 162 games.
Wow.
That goes to show, and the Twins had loaded, talented players over the last 20 years, and wins and loss wise, they were as bad as the Chicago White Sox have been.
With like batting champions, MVPs, and Cy Young Award winners sprinkled throughout those 20 years for the Twins.
That's why you want the bye and the Yankees to go lose in the wild card, right?
I want
go
the Yankees.
Baltimore.
Slay the dragon.
Right,
Slay the dragon.
Hey, you say that now, bro.
They're down 8-1 in the second inning. No. Dobnak's back out there. Brian Dunsing's back out there. Your guy pitching.
Oh my god!
Exercise the
I mean,
demons,
I
man.
actually would love to see the Twins play the Yankees, but history has told us a different story there.
Yeah. He is Coach Trev, Trevor Plouffe, every Tuesday on the Score North Twin Show. Catch him on John Boy Talking Baseball and the Warehouse games all over Valley Sports North now too. A second professional sports career in addition to your podcasting career. It's great.
See you guys.
All right, guys. Judd, good luck at practice today.
Thank you.